before exactly how the British monarchy are very instrumental in how it shapes our entertainment. People don't realise that, of course, but basically, if you look back at the Royal Variety performance all the way back to 1912, well, really, it all started, of course, with Edward VII. He liked nothing more than a bawdy night out at the music hall, listening to the likes of Vesta Tilley and Mary Lloyd singing those rather risque songs. And when you fast forward that to today, you might say the same thing about the likes of Lady Gaga or Madonna. Shock factor was the name of the game. And of course, Mary Lloyd singing the likes of, My Old Man Said Follow the Van, or The Boy in the Gallery, he's waving down at me. Didn't necessarily mean it was her husband, did it? Ooh, shock factor in that era, you can understand, can't you? So it's fascinating to think, as I say, that how the Royals shape our entertainment landscape, because basically every year at the Royal Variety performance, there used to be what they call an unknown act. And if that act did very well and was very well received by the audience, and more importantly by the royal box, then that act could look forward to popping up onto other TV shows, possibly even their own series, and this is how things are built up. This has happened to many famous acts along the years. But what was fascinating about this particular story was how really two people who were the best of chums, a royal and a leading entertainment light, came upon the idea of casting this particular person, who then turned out to be a Broadway star very much later in her life. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you today. Thank you so much as ever for joining me. I hope you're all well. Thank you. Genuinely mean that. Whatever you're doing today, look after yourselves. By the way, welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Yes, I know I often say this, but you're trapped now. This is the thing, yes, this is what you're trapped into. But if you love your royals, you love your stories, you like your news, I think we're going to get on very well. What I often say is just be respectful to each other, Doesn't matter about a spelling mistake here or a whatever, it's life, we just get on with it, don't we? Let's all be in it together, be chums, right? That's what it's all about. I'm there for you, you're here for me, I read your comments, really means a lot to me, in fact, when you've enjoyed so many stories, I was talking, as many people know, to Tom Parker Bowles recently, and he was quite shocked about this story about the music hall, and he'd no idea, of course, that the family heritage was really all stemmed from that. But actually, it was this particular individual, the late and brilliant Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who actually gave this leading light of entertainment, Sir Noel Coward, this brilliant idea, which, turned his show around, made it a Broadway hit, and more importantly, had a royal flavour too. You see, way back in the early 60s, Noel had sort of fallen out of favour. You know what it's like. He'd had that Las Vegas run and that had gone well. But actually, as he pointed out, nobody was screaming out for a new Noel Coward musical or indeed a review. He was very much seen as 1940s and 50s. That's show business. You're in, you're out. So when he had a brand new review, as they called it, The Girl Who Came to Supper, well, the bottom line was it was based on a Terence Rattigan play. So a very clever idea, already established in its own right, and had a tinge of royalty attached to the storyline too. But the bigger problem was that he needed to find somebody to play this particular role. Originally, Ada Cockle was all about a Cockney who had a couple of songs in the show and, was very well liked in that community. They were looking to get a big name, ideally, they thought in the lines of Petula Clark. But Petula was just on the cusp of having another pop comeback with the mega hits like Downtown and Don't Sleep in the Subway. Now, at a lunch at Clarence House, Sir Noel was talking to the Queen Mother about his latest ventures and no doubt making her laugh over numerous Dubonian gins and getting on famously. And he said, look, I've got this sort of problem, I'm not quite sure, what do you think? And she said, well, it's staring right at you, Noel, dear. This woman turned out to be Tessie O'Shea, often billed on the variety circuits as two-ton Tessie, a ukulele player extraordinaire, a forceful personality, did so much in her career and very, very popular within royal circles. Now, Noel was a fan of the variety market, he liked it. But as he also thought, well, really, taking her over to Broadway, will this work? Once again, this was an ingenious idea from the Queen Mother. Not only did it work, she stopped the show for her own standard ovation, became absolutely, incredible, successful, appeared on Ed Sullivan alongside the Beatles, and that really catapulted her fame in America. She couldn't believe it. I met Tessie later on in her life, a wonderful lady, very warm, the sort of gregarious character that you just can't help laughing with because they're enjoying life, the sort of thing. Now, moving forward, as I said, this idea came from the Queen Mother. And on the night that she got this standing ovation, she woke up to receive a telegram from Sir Noel saying, "Would you now care to become my full-time agent, as clearly you know more about the world of theatre and what the public want than I do?" That friendship, as I said, lasted many, many years. In fact, she unveiled a bust of him, Sir Noel Coward, at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. But it's fascinating to think, isn't it, that just over a few drinks at lunchtime at Clarence House, the Queen Mother shaped the destiny of not only a Broadway hit, but more importantly, of a lady who suddenly turned into a Broadway star. And as she pointed out to me, I had no idea it was going to become that successful so late in life. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.